Good evening, this is Viewpoint. I'm Zakka Jacob. Even as the second wave of Covid-19 seems to be subsiding, certainly in the big cities across the country, get ready for the third wave, says the central government. And the third wave could well likely affect children. Now, so much so, the centre is saying that parents need to encourage kids to start wearing masks inside their homes. Now that, as any parent would tell you, is easier said than done. So in the absence of a pediatric vaccine for Covid-19, how prepared is India for Covid on our kids, which could be the third wave?
As the second wave is showing signs of subsiding, the country is already preparing itself for an inevitable third wave. In the first wave, the elderly were most affected. In the second wave, young working professionals were hit. But in the third wave, children will be most at risk. The virus is forever mutating and on the lookout to attack as many hosts as possible. Since the elderly and to some extent the above 18 age group have already acquired immunity through natural infection and vaccination, children will be most susceptible.
दिसंबर वाले सर्वे में ICMR का जो था उसमें ये दिखाया गया, उसमें हमने 10 साल तक सर्वे किया था और उसमें ये दिखाया गया था कि उस टाइम पे जितना व्याप्तता अडल्ट्स में है 10 साल के बच्चों में जीरो पॉजिटिविटी लगभग उतना ही है.
India is a young nation with 41% of people below the age of 18, and the vaccine for this age group is still in development phases. Bharat Biotech's Covaxin has already got approval for phase 2 trials, which are likely to begin in another 10 days.
जो कोवैक्सीन है हमारा वैक्सीन, उसको परमिशन दी गई है कि वो बच्चों में आप ट्रायल आगे लेके जाएं.
The Health Ministry has already issued an advisory that children should wear masks even at home and practice social distancing at all times.
बच्चों को इफेक्ट होता है, एसिम्प्टोमेटिक होते हैं, लोग स्प्रेड भी कराते हैं. 10 साल 11 साल वाले बच्चे भी जो उनको भी एनकरेज करना है कि वो भी मास्क लगाएं, वो भी डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करें, सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मेंटेन करें.
While the third wave was predicted as early as in October, time is surely not on our side. We cannot have a repeat of what happened in the second wave, the struggle for oxygen and a mad scramble for life-saving drugs. The government must prepare on a war footing to save children from the third wave. The fear is real and the time to act is now. With Rishi Sinha, Anisa Kumar for CNN News 18.
So are we ready to save our children from a potential third wave which could possibly infect them? Joining us on the Talking Point tonight on Viewpoint is Dr. Samir Dalwai. He's a member of the Pediatric COVID Task Force of the State Government of Maharashtra. Dr. Joseph Brito is ex-CEO of Isabel Healthcare in Virginia. And Dr. Amit Gupta is the Director of Neonatal Services at the Oxford University. Thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Brito,
and so I think,
yeah, Dr.
I
Brito.
think so. Amit, thank you, Zakka. When we're looking at vaccinating our children, when you look at a vaccine, you want to assess a vaccine from the point of view of decreasing the severity of infection. Yes. Yes. So there is good, robust data that the vaccines we have currently are very effective, will decrease the chances of you being hospitalized significantly. Mm-hmm. But we also need to look at the transmission. Mm-hmm. What is the impact of the vaccine on transmission? The data both in adults and children is very scanty right now. We do not know the impact on transmission. As Amit has said very clearly, the burden of disease in children now, and we hope in the future with the next surge, the burden of disease doesn't justify us taking on the risks of a vaccine at this point in time. The best way to protect our children today is to vaccinate the adults and the older adults in the family, because the data suggests that transmission.
So let me be clear. Let me be clear about what you're saying.
I just finished this point, please.
I just want to understand what you're saying. Are you saying that the risk of vaccinating the kids is higher than not vaccinating them? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is when you assess the risk-benefit ratio, you need to ask yourself, for a vaccine for which we do not have the pediatric dose, what's the safe pediatric dose, and what is the efficacy and effectiveness of the vaccine in the pediatric population? Children are different from adults. Their children are naive from the point of view of exposure to pathogens. So we do not know what their immunogenic response will be to the same vaccine dose that you and I take. Therefore, we need to wait for the trials. We need to wait for the phase 3 clinical trials that will inform our decision as to whether we can, and remember, all vaccines are not equal. In time to come in India, it appears that we're going to have a smorgasbord, a cafeteria of vaccines to choose from. So we need to look at the efficacy of the vaccine, the dose, the safety, and the effectiveness. And bear in mind, transmission in the family takes place. Transmission in the family takes place not children to children and not children to adults, but adults to children. And therefore, what we should be doing today is to vaccinating the adults in the family. Over.